We're now taking up Shmuel's version. So starting the Gemara Yudal Amud Aleph, okay, what does the Gemara there say? We did this yesterday, which is a review. Shmuel says the debate between Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda, right, isn't what we thought it was. Rather, it's rather they both agree that you can't use 4 tefach wide beams. Both of them agree that to be the case. Okay? Question is, Rav Yehuda holds only 4 tefach wide beams you can't use. Rav Meir holds that even other beams you couldn't use either. Okay? So now we have a machlokes between Shmuel and Rav about how to learn the machlokes. Right?
Weird. Okay.
But now let's make it even better. Now let's go back to the Gemara and Tesvav. Okay? As I said before, where's the problem going to emerge? The problem is going to emerge on Beis Hillel. Right? Because if Rav Yehuda and Rav Meir both agree this Gzeres Tikra, and Beis Hillel holds Mefafkeik, this works, how can he hold that this works for Gzeres Tikra? It's impossible. This does not destroy roof. Okay? So what does the Gemara have to do? So since Shmuel holds that, so on the Gemara and Tesvav Amud Aleph, since we see that Shmuel holds that you require four tefachim is the shear for Tikra, right? So safe of my pligi, go ahead.
Ha vadai stam Tikra b'nei arba.
Oh, so why does he say that, by the way?
I'm not sure what that is. So.
No, so I cheated. I told you what it is. He's saying in other words, how do you know? Shmuel's going to have to say that the word tikra means 4 tefachim wide beams. Because if it didn't mean that, what would be the problem?
Then they were not.
Then they'd be arguing about every type of beam.
Yeah.
So tikra means 4 tefach wide beams. That's what it means. So stam tikra is 4 tefachim.
Why don't you say that?
The Gemara says, bevitule tikra kamiflagi. They're arguing about a case where literally the tikra was batal. We know what that means there. Mar savar batla b'hachi, and mar savar b'hachi lo batla. What does that mean?
One says
no idea. Now right. So take a look at Rashi. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi bevitule tikra. Kolomar.
To say Amalach Shmuel. Shmuel could say to you, or can we say Shmuel? Which one is it?
No, it's Kolomar. What does it mean? What does bitul tikra mean? Kolomar. This is what it means. Amalach Shmuel. Shmuel will tell you la'olam.
V'sheyesh ben arba. Velo HeAsui tikra
mitchila. So it's always referring to a case where it's 4 tefachim wide, right? But what?
Only at first.
Lo HeAsui tikra mitchila. But we didn't have the roof there in the beginning.
What does it mean?
The achshav.
The achshav. Hu bal sichach b'hu l'shem Succah. Now he's going to make it l'shem Succah. Yiskach. I feel like Yehuda pastel. You and Yehuda say it's pastel. Because Rina Misham Tikra, we make Zer because of Tikra, Shalo Yovo, Buyeshe Tachas Koros Beto, so that you should not come to sit underneath the beams of his house. Yomer Mali Ze Mali Chadashna.
So that's Gzeres Tikra.
Right.
Avahashta.
Vahashta, the Zud Tikra Haisa. Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
You do know what it means.
Okay, and now, but, and.
The Tikra was already there. Haisa is there, right? And now he's going to come ahead and do an action to demonstrate he's doing L'Shem Succah. No, we're saying and it's clear, it's evident. Sheyodea she'amra Torah Taaseh and HeAsui, and therefore it's clear he knows that he's doing. Why he's doing a Maisa to demonstrate he knows this is an issue of Taaseh and HeAsui. Okay, because what was on there to begin with, the Tikra.
Right.
So pligi Rabbi Yehuda Rav Meir. Right, so that's what the machlokes are Meir and Yehuda. Ika su lemigzar mishum tikra olo. Okay, does Gzeres Tikra apply to the case where the roof was already on there? Okay, let me just finish. Okay,
yeah.
So Rav Yehuda savar betulei tikra lebei. Okay, so Yehuda holds that betulei tikra, right? Lebei shamai tzarich litol b'meitayim. Da'af agav demochiach shebaki b'tasam and HeAsui gazriba. So Beis Shammai would hold you also have to do Natila because it's true he did Mefafkeik, but that's not enough. Okay, Mefafkeik is insufficient. Whereas Beis Hillel Savri, I'll explain in a second what's going on. Well, Beis Hillel Savri came into Batla, right? Since I mean through Mefafkeik, right? V'hochiach shetikra psula, sulek lemegzar. Since he did the lifting up, he's demonstrated now this thing is. Through his very action of breaking the HeAsui, he's showing this thing isn't functioning as a roof. Okay? Rav Meir Savar, lo nechlu. Rav Meir holds, they didn't argue about this and they agree it's Gzera in every situation. Okay? So let me extract out what's important here. Okay.
Got it.
What's the issue here? Shmuel's holding machlokas is as follows. Everyone in our Mishnah in Tesvav, everyone agrees if I go ahead and build the roof.
This is easily understandable from Rashi because it seems like the three before us to explain what Rashi said here.
No, that's what Rashi's saying. If I go ahead, the problem is the Gemara is very vague. It's just betule. No one knows what that means. So Rashi explained to you. This is what it means. It means like this: if I build a sukkah, right? I have walls here, and what do? I put up my tikra. All right, l'shem schach. Okay, I take my tikra. Like Rashi says, I take my beams. Okay, and the achshav hu ba l'sachek b'hu l'shem sukkah. Okay, so now I'm going to take those beams and make it l'shem sukkah. Okay. So I'm building it l'shem sukkah. If I do that, everyone agrees it's a problem with Xeris Tikra. According to Shmuel. Everyone agrees it's a problem with Xeris Tikra. Is that clear?
One more time.
Okay. If I go ahead and I take my 4 tefach wide beams, okay, and I use them to go ahead and build my schach, l'shem schach, okay, l'shem schach. If I do that, everyone agrees it's puzzle because it's Xeris Tikra. Okay? And you can kind of intuitively see why that makes sense because they're saying that in the very so to speak, like fabric of the structure, right, is what? Bias. Is keva, is bias. Okay? Everyone's going to agree that's a problem. Where they disagree is here, and this is where there's a double bifurcation. But yeah, so let's say let's say forget the house. Let's say fine house. Let's say I have
the broader category of house is just already made.
I have a pre-existing roof. That's what it is. Right? And now what happens? Now the question is, so there's a machlokas about. There's 2 steps to this. First question is, what can I do to solve the problem? So according to Rameir, right? Rameir is going to say what? He's going to say that. Let's make sure I get Rashi right here. All right, let's see. Right. So the question is, does Xeris Tikra apply or not? If Xeris Tikra applies, right? So then what do I have to do? Pesa, which would be Beis Shammai, okay? Or final Rav Meir. But according to Beis Hillel, Xeris Tikra. Now this is the hard part.
So yeah, say
okay, if the roof's pre-existing, okay, this is where all the concepts collide. This is the collision point, okay. What's the problem if the beam's already on there? Okay, forget what the material is. What?
HeAsui.
No, HeAsui. Okay, HeAsui. Taaseh and HeAsui. Because oh, 1 second. That's the question. So according to Beis Shammai, you have to do mefafkek is very nice as far as HeAsui is concerned, but you have also Xeris Tikra because Xeris Tikra is an independent problem. What does Beis Hillel hold? Beis Hillel holds. This is the strange part. He holds that there's no Xeris Tikra, right? So he's going to hold mefafkek would be what?
Either way is a Maisa, so Maisa would take away HeAsui.
Oh, right. So what's the svar?
How can you hold that?
There's 2 questions that have to be answered here. Question 1: what's the machlokas to say that Tikra is limited to 4 or not? Okay.
Right.
And there's both Rameir and Yehuda agree Xeris Tikra applies by 4. Right. The question is, does it apply even if it's not 4? That's question 1 that has to be answered.
Right.
Question number 2 is, what's this business of separating out whether I build with it or it's pre-built? Rashi says by the case where it's pre-built. Okay, so by him doing, look at his lashon. You got to be very sensitive to what he's saying. Yeah, that's the line. He says it's muchach, right? Where's that line? Hold on.
It's like
v'zem mochiach ubali di ma'isa lasos Hashem sukkah v'zem mochiach sheyodea she'amra Torah Taaseh and HeAsui. But the fact he's doing an action which is clearly demonstrating he knows this is a problem with Taaseh and HeAsui. So what's Beis Hillel going to say? What's Rav Yehuda going to say? Rav Yehuda is going to say savar. We get the base Beis Hillel part, right? So that says
it's his house, right?
Right, he's a bucky. He knows it's Taaseh and HeAsui, right? So therefore, he doesn't have to worry about it. In other words, like this: by me going ahead and lifting up the beams and putting them back down, according to Beis Hillel, right? That's showing me that I'm dealing with Taaseh and HeAsui. So there's no problem with Xeris Tikra. Xeris Tikra, according to Beis Hillel, would never emerge in this case. Why should it be Xeris Tikra? The guy's doing mefafkek, so why would he ever have to do notal achas? There's no Xeris Tikra. Because he's aware of the problem. This is Shmuel's version.
Right.
What? I thought you said.
Let's take the first machlokas. The question is, Rameir holds Xeris Tikra applies not just. They both agree there's Xeris Tikra. They both agree with that idea. Meaning, going back to the Sfar, this is where you can cheat a little bit. The Sfar we had by Rav's explanation of Rameir now applies to both Rameir and Rav Yehuda, which is that there's an idea that they don't want to introduce the idea of biasness or keva into the sukkah. So therefore, I have to do notal achas. I got to take one off to destroy the shame roof. Okay, so now but now Shmuel's saying both agree with that idea. They both agree that the problem with using a tikra is that there's a roof. I've introduced the notion of keva into my dir sarai, and I can't do that.
Okay.
So they both agree with that. Okay, they both agree with that. But so what do they disagree on?
How do you define tikra?
How do you define? Well, right. Okay, how do you define tikra?
Just board talking or every freaking board?
Right. Okay. So and who's it funny? Who's it really funny like?
Mayor, what the heck? How can you say every board? Because you want to say it's
right, 'cause that's tikra anymore.
How can I not know what the board?
Right. In other words, if you can tell me Xer is tikra, so according to Rameir, it's very funny.
So it's not, it should be tikra.
Categorically, Rameir is expanding this to include all wooden beams of various widths.
Or completely redefine it.
Okay. Well, that's what he's saying, but he still has to maintain that it's tikra. He can't deny it's tikra. So how do you answer? That's easy to answer. But what's the machlokas?
That's easy.
Yeah. What's the machlokas? What's the
Please tell me
machlokas?
it's easy.
What's the machlokas? It's a neser.
A rough beam.
A beam. Well, forget if it's rough or not. A beam. All right.
beam.
But 1 second, because if you didn't say that,
So-
then according to Rameir, what could you use for schach? Think about it logically.
Nothing.
Nothing. Because you could use anything, any material you could ever use to build a roof would be usar. So of course it's ridiculous.
There has to be something.
So Rameir must be holding, right? Like you're saying all along, it's an issue with the material. But you got to be careful when we say material. What do we mean by material?
Oh, no.
What do we mean by
You
material?
gotta conceptualize the word material.
No, it can't mean the chafsa, because if it was the chafsa, like meaning the wood, because then how could you, then you can't use wood for your schach at all. That'd be crazy. Then you can't use any type of wood, right? So it's not wood. What's neser? Neser are
Roof.
beams that. So this is how he learns it. Nisarim are beams that are used for roofs. Okay, but it just so happens to be of those types of beams, what's the most commonly used?
412. It's also made of wood.
Right.
Both
No,
things are accidental.
No, I'm saying, but right. No. So okay, I'm saying beams. You got to follow this. Okay.
Just roofing.
Just listen, because we're dealing with keva. We're not just gotta listen. We're not dealing with.
I wasn't to you.
We're not dealing with the chefsa. We're not dealing with the chefsa right now. We're not dealing with the chefsa of wood. You gotta stop thinking about wood.
I know.
We're thinking about the idea. So listen. So what's the idea of a beam? What's the idea of a beam?
It's
So
accidental.
a beam is something. I know, but no, it's not accidental. According to Mayor,
You made-
a beam is now went from wood. In other words, when I look at a beam, what do I see? I see wood. He's not saying you see materials that I use for roofs. That's what beams are. Now the thing is, of those beams, the most commonly used one is 4 tvachim wide. But it doesn't take away from the fact that these things, now they've changed into neser, now that they're beams, that they're uses for roofs. So it just happens to be the majority of people use 4, but who cares? It's irrelevant. Because they're all what?
Roof beams.
Roof beams.
And for what?
But meaning that, so he's saying, that's why he's saying, it doesn't matter if it's 4
Who's
or
he?
not.
Who's he?
Rameir.
He's saying what?
Rameir holds it doesn't matter if it's 4. 4 is irrelevant. 4 just happens to be the most common measurement used.
I get it.
You understand? It's like, let's say, let me think of it now. There's a certain point according to Rameir is saying that when this thing becomes a neser, it acquires a conceptual identity of being on the material that is used for roofs,
Right.
for kever roofs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let me just say Rav Yehuda, and then we'll bring up the nafkamina. The question is that the question ends up being is that when you have this xeris tikra, so the question is it a din in the material? Again, these are all conceptual identities, right? But is it a din in the material,
The individual
or is it in
parts that
how?
construct the roof, or the roof
Right,
beams, which is the definition of a roof beam.
Right, or is it a din in a roof beam, meaning that this since row people
This
use this for
individual
roofs,
part.
so now it becomes defined as a roof beam, all right? Meaning it's its own identity. But the nafkamina would be like this. So let's use Dylan's case, but just tweak it a bit. Let's say I had a roof in my house, and up on the roof I had 3 4 tefach beams and 1 3 tefach beam. Okay, how does Rameir look at it? How does Rav Yehuda look at it?
Ramirez says it's all bad.
It's all good.
Right, because what does
all
Rameir?
bad.
He sees
All one materials.
roofing
It's all
materials,
the bad
right?
materials.
So the materials make the roof. Whereas Rav Yehuda would say no. What would he say?
Only the 4s.
Right, because even though it's true this thing is on there as a roof,
But you can't tell
right?
me it's one bad.
They aren't all
Correct.
beams.
Here's the question.
Right, exactly.
Here's the question.
Exactly. They're all beams.
Right.
No, right. They're all beams
But they're not roof beams.
that are functioning for roof, but not all roof beams.
Right, here's the question. What if you had a 4